Okay, good morning. Welcome to Yeshiva YouTube, Iyun with Benzion. Today I want to analyze Nedarim, Laman Aleph, and Beis in the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Konam shani nena la'arelim. You say that you're not going to get benefit from arelim. You don't say arelim means people don't have a bris milah. Mutter bar Yisrael, you're allowed to get benefit from Jews who don't have a bris milah. But even if non-Jews get a bris milah, which is kind of prevalent now in hospitals, they'll give bris milah to non-Jews. Doesn't matter. Non-Jews are called Arelim, whether they have a bris milah or not, and Jews are called Mula, whether they have a bris milah or not. Now, what is the case of Arla Yisrael, that you're allowed to get benefit from them? So Rashi says, uniquely, that it's talking about a case of why does a Jew not have a bris milah? It's talking about Mesu Echav Machmas Milah. The Gemara in Yevamos discusses, if you have two brothers that had a bris milah, and they died on account of the bris milah, it's a sakana, chazaka establishes, it's a chazaka to give a bris milah to the third child, the third son, because he might die. So therefore, he remains his whole life without a circumcision, because pikuach nefesh. It's not his fault. So at the end of the day, he's an arel. He's uncircumcised physically, but he's called gamalt. He's called having a bris milah. In terms of the neder, he's considered mal, because it's not his fault. Presumably, that's what Rashi says. Rabbeinu Tam, I think in Masechtas Yevamos, maybe over here, tells us, I didn't see it over here. He says, no, it's not even just talking about a case where it's an onus. Even if the guy knows about bris milah, he has no brothers that died on account of bris milah, he decides, I don't want to keep the mitzvah of bris milah. I reject the Torah. I reject bris milah. I keep the Torah, I reject bris milah. So he's still considered to be called mulim, and he's still considered, you're allowed to get hanaf from him, he's considered Yisrael. Because the words arelim, as the Gemara, the Mishnah continues, arelim refer to goyim. Right? The pasuk says, "Ki kol goyim arelim." All goyim are arelim, and all Jews are called mulim, whether they have a bris milah or not a bris milah. So, according to Rabbeinu Tam, it makes a lot of sense because we said on the previous daf that Nedarim hachar la'akalash b'nei adam. Sorry, let me go back for a second. What is the machlokas to Rashi and Tosas? What are they arguing about over here? So we have a pasuk. The pasuk says, right, kol goyim arelim. All goyim are called arelim. Meaning, it's not talking about physically have a bris milah or not. All goyim are arelim. Now, there's a lot of goyim get a bris milah, but they're all called arelim, the pasuk says, because it's maguna, like the Gemara says. It's a way of denigrating non-Jews by calling them arelim, whether they have a bris milah or not physically. So, according to the lashon of the Torah, all non-Jews are called arelim, and the pasuk continues, kol b'nei Yisrael are leiv, which means they're considered mulim. They only have a blockage of their heart. They don't have a blockage of their aver. So in that area, in the private area, they're considered to be mulim. So that makes sense. If you go according to the psukim, right, it should matter whether physically there's a bris milah or not physically there's a bris milah, which sounds like Rabbeinu Tam over here, that if the Jew decided he doesn't want to have a bris milah, right, he rejects the Torah. Nonetheless, he's a Jew. The Jews are called mulim, and non-Jews are called not mulim. However, Rashi says it's not true. Rashi says that if you're someone that rejects the Torah and you go against the Torah and you say, I don't want to have a bris milah, it wasn't because of an onus that your brothers died. So, according to Rashi, you would be called an Arel. So, I like to suggest the Pshat and Rashi. The Gemara says on yesterday's daf, Nedarim hachar lashon b'nei adam. Nedarim, you go after lashon b'nei adam. So, you go after colloquially what the word means. What does arelim mean? Now, if you tell me arelim, you translate to English, mean the uncircumcised, I would say that's talking about people that are uncircumcised, right? Physically uncircumcised. If you tell me what does uncircumcised mean, translate to English, I would say people that have a bris milah. Non-Jews that have a bris milah are considered mulim. Non-Jews who don't have a bris milah are considered uncircumcised. So that's if you go after lashon b'nei adam. But it sounds from the Gemara that in terms of the Torah calls all non-Jews arelim, and all Jews are called mulim. So if you go according to Rabbeinu Tam, you would learn, yes, Nedarim hachar lashon b'nei adam, but that's only where the Torah is not clear, like the Gemara says, where the word noldim can mean two different things. It can mean children that are born, people that are born already, or people that will be born. So it's not clear from the Torah. So therefore, in order to use, we use lashon b'nei adam in order to figure out, in order to decide when the Torah is unclear. Really, primacy you give to the Torah, or Nevi'im, whatever they call arelim and mulim. That's what Rabbeinu Tam holds, right? You go the precedence of the Torah. However, if it's undecided, if it's not clear from the Torah, then you use Lashon Nedarim to be machriya to decide. But if you don't need to be machriya, like over here, we have all the psukim seem to indicate non-Jews are called arelim, Jews are called mulim. So whether he rejects it, was an onus, or even rejected Mila by himself, he's a Jew because he was born a Jew, and a Jewish mother. Whether he decides to do a bris Mila or not does not make him less Jewish or not. That's your Rabbeinu Tam sheet. According to Rashi, you're going to have to say that maybe he argues on that, and he says, yes, the pasuk says, the Gemara brings a pasuk that arelim are non-Jews, but we have to remember the main halacha by Nedarim hakarak Lashon b'nei Adam. So, and that even when there's a pasuk indicating really the whole idea of the Nedarim according to Rashi, the first thing you do is go hakarak Lashon b'nei Adam. That's the Gemara's machadish over. The Gemara originally thought by Noldim, it says here, and the Gemara, what's the maskan? Nedarim hakarak Lashon b'nei Adam. So according to Rabbeinu Tam, when I have one pasuk, really I would decide based on the words of the Torah. If it's not mukhra, if it's not decided by the Torah, we'll decide Lashon b'nei Adam. Rashi says no. Once the Gemara introduces Nedarim hakarak Lashon b'nei Adam, we disregard whatever it says in the Torah. So even in the Torah, it calls all non-Jews arelim, and all Jews are called mulim. We disregard that by Lashon b'nei Adam. We disregard that by Lashon b'nei Adam, and therefore we talk about whether there is presently circumcised or not circumcised. So therefore, if the Jew, decides not to circumcise himself, so he's called uncircumcised, he's an arel. If it's an ones pikuach nefesh, so yes, you might call him technically, Lashon b'nei Adam would call him uncircumcised, but really people would say, they would put an asterisk over there, they say, really he would have a bris milah, he is considered a gamal person, because of pikuach nefesh to his brothers, what happened to his brothers, we don't give him a bris milah, so it's very possible what Rashi means over there. So even in colloquial language, we would call him a Jew who has a milah. He has a milah. He doesn't technically circumcise, but he would have the milah if not for extenuating circumstances. So it's very possible. Rashi is saying, even in Lashon b'nei Adam, when you refer to that guy, is he circumcised? We're not going to tell him all the private history that his brothers died. No, yeah, he's circumcised. I mean, it's not his fault. He's circumcised. However, if he rejected the Torah, and he says, Afal Pikan, I could have a bris milah, I choose not to. So then technically, Lashon b'nei Adam would say, is he circumcised? No, he's not circumcised. He chose not to be circumcised. I think that's what's going on over here. Malchus Rashi and Tosafos. It's very fundamental whether the concept of Nedarim hakarak Lashon b'nei Adam is only used to machriya after the Torah, or to even use it lechatchila according to Rashi. You'll have to explore this more going through the Masechta. Hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.